Thank you, everybody, for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. If you could do me a quick favor, see that little subscribe button at the bottom of your screen? Go ahead, click that subscribe button. Really does help our channel grow, our audience grow, and I really do appreciate it more than you know. So click that subscribe button. Appreciate your support. Now, here's the video that you came here for. I've been like Mr. Negativity. Hey, tell me all the reasons that you're miserable right now. But so first of all, you're going down to Lexington, so we're recording before your trip. Most people will probably hear this on Thursday, but I know people have been, a little rough and tumble with you on social media, but what are you expecting just the atmosphere to be down there when you get there, and just the atmosphere in general for the game? Again, to reiterate for people who are maybe catching this segment, this interview mid-segment, we're recording before John leaves for Lexington. We're recording before Kentucky plays at Tennessee on Tuesday night. So a few things can change, but obviously the anticipation I don't think is going anywhere.
No, and I'm kind of pissed off about that, to be honest.
Me
because
too.
It's like when the schedule came out of the SEC schedule, one, I was pissed off that Arkansas and Kentucky only played once. I think that was a massive mistake by the SEC. I have no idea who was in charge, but I don't know who thought that was an okay idea. You have two dynamite must-watch games right there on TV, and you chose to do it one time. Makes no sense. But I will say it does make sense to have the one game in Rupp. That's what's going to do it. But I booked the trip to Lexington the day that the SEC schedule dropped because I was expecting these two teams are going to be NCAA tournament teams, potentially top 20, top 15 teams. I thought all of those things were going to happen. And now that's not. It's just completely, it's still there. But because here's the deal. You mentioned we're recording this before Kentucky and Tennessee play. Assuming that Tennessee wins, Kentucky's been on a 3-game losing streak going into that game. Sub 500. It's still going to be angry, but you know what I'm saying? It doesn't have the same luster. So it'll be heated, but it just could have been so much better, AT. It could have been so much better.
Well, I was supposed to go too, and some things popped up here at the last minute, and it kind of actually worked out nicely that it didn't for that exact reason. And here's the other thing too, and again, I feel like I'm just being Mr. Negative Arkansas guy, but it would be one thing if just Kentucky's banged up and they're on a little bit of a losing streak, but Arkansas is awesome, and then it's like, oh crap, we're gonna boo the crap out of them, and that's obviously not what it is at all. We don't need to reiterate that, but I'll tell you what, we could go ahead and wrap here. You've been so gracious with your time. Let's wrap on a negative, though. Go ahead. What are you going to say?
I'm just going to say one quick thing about that, though. One quick thing. I believe that this trip and this thing in Lexington is going to be obviously lively and insane. However, there's zero pressure on the Razorbacks. Zero. The pressure is on Kentucky. The pressure is a little bit on Cal, because he wants to win. He wants to prove everybody wrong. The most pressure is on Mark Pope.
Great call.
100%. And so as a Razorback fan, and I think most Razorback fans are going in, it'd be different if the circumstances were different, obviously, but fans are going in there like, hey, what do we have to lose? If Kentucky beats Arkansas, they're a better team. They're supposed to. Arkansas doesn't have one of their best players. It's in Rupp Arena. Hey, it's supposed to. But if Cal wins, if Arkansas wins that game, I'm going to be curious to see what it looks like there in Lexington, because then you're talking about potentially Kentucky dropping 2 games below 500 and Arkansas having 2 SEC wins on the year against Georgia and against Kentucky and Rupp Arena. I'm not going to predict it, but my point is no pressure on the Razorbacks, no pressure on the Razorback players, no pressure on the team. Mark Pope has the most pressure on him. And if he doesn't win that game, I'm just saying.
No, you're right.
Some of those fans may have to cope with Pope.
Oh, I see what you did there. No, and I'll say real quick, we'll let you out of here in a couple minutes. But that is, first of all, it was funny. I was listening to, just some Kentucky commentary after the Vandy game. And again, there's an understanding that guys are hurt, whatever. But there was the conversation of, coming into this week, you're playing at Tennessee. That is an incredible win if you can get it for your resume, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, which win would you rather have? Because even an Arkansas loss on just a sheet of paper, it's actually not a bad loss. It's probably a Q2 loss at home. It's whatever. People have them, whatever. You beat Tennessee at Tennessee. That's like one of the best wins you could have in college basketball. And everybody to a man was like, yeah, I'll take losing by 30 in Knoxville because we cannot lose that game at Arkansas. So, or to Arkansas, excuse me, at home. So, yeah, that was going to be kind of my last question is what do you think happens if Arkansas pulls off the upset? But I will tell you, I think everyone's given the benefit of the doubt. Alabama's really good. That's who you lost to a few weeks ago. Vandy, okay. Everybody's banged up. Can't lose. By the way, let me ask you this. Do you think that could be the galvanizing thing for like if Arkansas won, not just because it's Kentucky, whatever, but I feel like that would be the galvanizing thing where it would be like Cal's our guy now. Like we love him. You know what I mean? Where it's just like you've wanted to defend him, but he hasn't given you a ton of reason to. But this is the one where it's like these crazy, and Calipari called him crazy, so I'm not calling him crazy, but like these people have been bullying our coach for 6 months now. And guess who that's my coach right there. That's my coach. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think there'd be an element to that. But because of how Big Blue Nation in Kentucky has, addressed and looked at Arkansas, it's been good for the rivalry.
No
And
doubt.
I keep saying that. And, I've said some stuff about Kentucky and about Big Blue Nation. Just people know it's all in fun, although people take it very seriously sometimes. But to me, it would be so much if Cal won that game. And this is just my opinion from as a Razorback fan growing up and all that. It would just kind of be a sit back and swish your drink around and take a sip and just be like, okay, all right. Like just it would be fun but it'd be more of like, I look at it again. I look at it as this is Cal versus Kentucky.
Yep.
Like it's not Arkansas versus Kentucky. It is a little bit, but this is Cal versus Kentucky. And Cal's on your team though. Like he's your guy, but it's not about Arkansas because these Kentucky fans would be the same way if he went to Vanderbilt or any place in the SEC. So it's about Cal versus Kentucky, and I think Arkansas fans are just looking at it as like that's our guy. We're rooting for him. We're massaging his shoulders in the corner of the ring. Making sure hey go get him Tiger. And then if they win, and if he pulls off the upset. After all that smack talk, after all that stuff getting thrown his way, I think Razorback fans, again, just going to sit back and be like, it sucks to suck, man. Sorry about that. Like, hopefully you guys can make the tournament this year. You guys are in jeopardy. Just kind of have some fun with it. But Razorback fans will be appreciative, but then part of it will be like, okay, dude, so what the crap? Like, you couldn't beat Oklahoma at home, but you can go on the road and beat Kentucky and Rupp. There'll be that element, too.
I'm not claiming I know your fan base. I think it would be a pretty big rallying point, at least for one game.